The hedgerows did not welcome armour, yet the vehicle waiting in the dust carried a gun that altered the balance between concealment and firepower. Its 17-pounder was forced into cramped steel, but the result could cut through armour that once dominated the battlefield. Crews depended on its stability, its recoil management, and its long barrel that pushed doctrine to its limits. It looked unwieldy enough that even the foliage seemed to lean away. The opening months of the armoured campaign in Western Europe revealed a mismatch between expectation and reality. Allied doctrine had anticipated mobility and numbers compensating for firepower, yet the arrival of heavier enemy armour forced a reassessment of what a medium tank needed to deliver. The standard M4 platform, dependable in logistics and maintenance, faced opponents with thicker frontal plates and longer-range guns, creating a gap that engineers could not ignore. This gap had technical roots as much as tactical ones. The available tank-mounted armament lacked the muzzle velocity needed for consistent penetration at combat ranges, and existing British anti-tank weapons were designed primarily for towed rolls. Those guns could defeat armour, but they could not keep up with an advancing formation, nor could they be relied upon to reposition under fire. Integrating that capability into a mobile chassis became essential, especially as operational planners demanded a way to confront threats on equal terms. The 17-pounder existed as a proven high-velocity solution, but its size, recoil behaviour, and ammunition length made it ill-suited for cramped turrets until design teams intervened. The challenge resembled trying to fit a Sunday roast into a ration tin and insisting it still cook properly. Adjusting breech orientation, clearing space for loaders, and managing weight distribution became urgent technical priorities. Once these needs aligned, the case for a rearmed medium tank grew impossible to dismiss. The concept behind the upgunned Sherman relied on a shift in thinking rather than a shift in industry. British ordnance specialists recognized that anti-tank capability could no longer remain split between static guns and mobile armour, and the only practical solution was to merge the two into a single, adaptable fighting vehicle. The vision centred on exploiting the Sherman's generous turret ring and mechanical reliability, while overcoming the spatial and recoil constraints that had previously discouraged such integration. This meant reconsidering the internal geometry of the turret itself. The original breech of the 17-pounder was too large to operate efficiently within the available volume, so engineers rotated it sideways to create the clearance required for practical loading. The recoil system also demanded changes, including shortened recoil travel and modified recuperator placement to prevent interference with the turret structure. Ventilation and ammunition stowage had to be reconsidered to address heat, fumes, and shell length, each factor shaping the final arrangement. Once these changes were conceptualized, it became clear that the vehicle would not follow the standard Sherman layout. The radio, typically in the turret bustle, required relocation to external fittings, altering the silhouette and contributing to the Firefly's instantly recognizable profile. The end result looked as if the designers had solved every problem by relocating it somewhere slightly inconvenient, but undeniably effective. What emerged was not an improvised conversion, but a deliberate redefinition of what the existing platform could achieve. The conversion process unfolded in workshops already strained by wartime demand, yet the task required precision rather than volume. Each Sherman destined to become a Firefly arrived stripped of its original armament, awaiting the reconfigured 17-pounder with its altered breech and revised recoil system. Fitting these components demanded careful machining and alignment, as the gun's mounting had to absorb significant forces without distorting the turret structure or affecting traverse smoothness. This was not a quick modification, but an engineered transformation of the internal layout. Every installation required hand-adjusted tolerances. The shortened recoil cylinders had to be aligned within millimeters to prevent asymmetric forces on the trunnions, while the sideways breech demanded reinforced mounting points to counter the lateral stresses created by the altered geometry. Ammunition storage also shifted to accommodate the distinctive long cartridges, and the new stowage racks needed secure bracketing to prevent movement during travel or firing. Each bracket, catch and hinge underwent testing to ensure the heavy rounds could be accessed reliably in combat conditions. Electrical systems and ancillary equipment followed the mechanical changes. The external radio box fitted to the turret rear needed waterproofing, secure wiring, and stable vibration management to protect sensitive components during rough movement. Fire suppression systems, already tight within the Sherman hull, required adjustment around the revised ammunition layout to preserve access and reliability. If a single bolt refused to cooperate, the entire process felt like the tank was registering its complaint with full enthusiasm. The completed machines emerged from these workshops uniquely equipped for their new battlefield role. Trials placed the converted vehicle in demanding environments to assess how the modified gun and internal layout behaved under operational stress. The first obstacle was the long barrel, which altered balance and increased the chance of grounding the muzzle during maneuvers across uneven terrain. Drivers needed to account for this extended profile, particularly when cresting ridges or negotiating confined lanes where the barrel could strike obstacles, if not precisely managed. Stability during travel became a defining requirement of the testing process. Firing trials revealed the benefits and the challenges of the revised configuration. The gun's high muzzle velocity produced a pronounced shockwave, and the constrained turret interior magnified the blast effects, creating a harsher working environment for loaders. Despite this, the shortened recoil system proved effective, keeping the gun steady and enabling quicker follow-up shots than initially expected. Barrel whip, a natural consequence of length and force, had to be monitored carefully to ensure accuracy at extended ranges, prompting evaluators to refine handling procedures. Reliability testing examined mechanical endurance under repeated firing cycles. Traversing the turret through its full arc confirmed that the reinforced mounting points could handle the sideways breach without binding or imbalance, while the relocated radio maintained operational performance despite its external placement. Dust ingress tests, vibration trials, and extended engine runs ensured the vehicle could sustain prolonged deployment without a loss of efficiency. The machine demonstrated a habit of working flawlessly until someone declared it flawless in writing, after which it would immediately demand attention. The outcome confirmed that the design could withstand field demands with notable effectiveness. When the vehicle entered active deployment, its rearmed configuration quickly demonstrated a level of capability absent from earlier medium tanks. The 17-pounder's penetration performance allowed engagement at ranges where the standard tank gun struggled, altering encounter dynamics across open fields and built-up positions alike. This transformation meant formations containing even a small number of converted vehicles could respond to threats previously handled only by dedicated tank destroyers or towed anti-tank guns. The battlefield effect was both immediate and measurable. One key factor behind this success was the gun's ammunition. The availability of high-velocity rounds, including armor-piercing variants designed to maintain integrity upon impact, delivered consistent results against thick plate structures. This capability turned the Firefly into a vital part of combined arms planning, ensuring that advancing units could confront heavily armored opposition without halting momentum. The extended barrel improved ballistic stability and produced flatter trajectories, enabling accurate shot placement under variable conditions and extending practical engagement distances. Operational reports highlighted how the modified interior influenced sustained performance. The sideways breach, though unconventional, permitted loaders to maintain a workable rhythm during combat, aided by the revised ammunition racks and refined internal bracing. The relocated radio box contributed to improved turret ergonomics, easing coordination between crew members and external elements. It produced the sort of results that caused planners to insist they had intended such outcomes from the very beginning. This consistent performance established the Firefly as a crucial component of armoured operations throughout the campaign. The arrival of the up-gunned Sherman carried effects far beyond the vehicle itself. Its enhanced range and penetration capability forced adjustments across logistical planning, as ammunition production shifted to meet the growing demand for specialized 17-pounder rounds. These shells required distinct propellant charges and casing dimensions, introducing new storage considerations for frontline supply units. The movement of these heavier, longer rounds altered how depots organized their inventories and how transport columns were assembled for sustained operations. Propaganda and intelligence assessments also absorbed the impact. The recognition of a medium tank equipped with such a powerful gun influenced strategic calculations, particularly regarding enemy deployment patterns and defensive arrangements. Documentation circulated among command structures to identify visual cues, like the prominent barrel length and turret modifications, alerting reconnaissance elements to the presence of vehicles capable of long-range engagement. This adjustment influenced both aerial and ground-based observation efforts throughout the campaign timeline. The psychological dimension shaped unit cohesion and morale. Crews operating alongside the up-gunned Shermans viewed them as assets that strengthened the overall fighting capability of their formations, and their presence allowed medium armor to operate more aggressively without waiting for external anti-tank support. This contributed to operational flexibility during combined arms maneuvers, especially in open terrain, where the risk of sudden long-range contact remained high. Its silhouette became the sort of reassuring sight that made supply officers start imagining heroic statistics in their ledgers. These influences spread slowly but decisively through planning documents, tactical analyses, and post-action assessments. After the conflict, the vehicle's influence persisted through engineering reports, comparative trials, and post-war armor development programs. Its integration of a high-velocity gun into a medium chassis demonstrated that existing platforms could be upgraded without the time and resource cost of building entirely new designs. This principle of enhancement, rather than replacement, informed Cold War-era approaches to tank modernization, encouraging nations to adapt proven hulls with improved weapons and fire control systems rather than restart production lines from scratch. Technically, the lessons of the conversion extended into areas beyond the gun itself. The sideways breech arrangement became a case study in spatial efficiency, demonstrating how turret interiors could be reconfigured to manage larger weapons while maintaining functional ergonomics. The shortened recoil system, developed to keep the 17-pounder controllable within the Sherman turret, provided a foundation for later research into compact recoil mechanisms suited to increasingly powerful guns. Even the external radio housing contributed to design thinking around modular turret components and interchangeable equipment pods. The vehicle's operational record also shaped doctrinal analysis. Reports emphasized the value of combining mobility with high penetration capability, reinforcing the idea that medium armor could play a decisive role in anti-armor engagements when properly equipped. This influenced later generations of main battle tanks, which adopted the expectation that a single platform should fulfill multiple battlefield roles without relying on specialized support vehicles. It proved that an upgraded workhorse could sometimes outpace designs that began life with much grander ambitions. Its legacy continued in technical literature, training documentation, and the evolution of armoured doctrine across numerous nations. The long barrel that once defined the vehicle's silhouette remains a reminder of how necessity reshapes engineering priorities. When armour thickened and engagement distances increased, the solution did not emerge from a clean slate, but from reinterpreting what an existing platform could support. The converted medium tank offered a blend of firepower, mobility, and adaptability that altered tactical expectations, proving that incremental changes could have effects far greater than their individual components suggested. The lineage of ideas embedded in its design persisted through later generations of armoured thinking. Compact recoil management, turret reconfiguration, and ammunition handling techniques drew directly from the challenges solved during its creation, influencing engineering approaches long after wartime urgency had faded. As armour and firepower grew more complex, the underlying principle endured, that space, weight, and mechanical tolerances could be balanced with enough ingenuity and perseverance. In this sense, its contribution extended beyond immediate battlefield performance into the foundations of post-war development. The vehicle also illustrated how a single change in capability could ripple through doctrine, logistics, and industrial planning. Its presence in armoured units shifted expectations for what medium armour could achieve, altering planning documents and standard operating procedures. The lessons drawn from its deployment fed into strategic evaluations that continued well into the Cold War and beyond. It became the sort of machine that made future designers question whether they truly needed a blank sheet of paper at all. Its impact remained embedded in the long arc of armoured engineering, carried forward in both principle and practice. Thanks for spending your time with this video. If you'd like more documentaries on the machines and moments that shaped history, please consider subscribing. We would love to have you back.